You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
As a small business owner, sometimes it feels like no matter how much planning you do, there's always surprises, like an urgent, expensive repair. But here's a surprise you will like. With Progressive, small business owners save 13% on their commercial auto insurance when they pay in full. So enjoy a surprise for once. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Why does Progressive work hard for truckers? Because truckers unite the world. They unite kids with their first drum sets and parents with earplugs. But truckers can't do this if they're not on the road. That's why Progressive has over 360 heavy truck employees to help truckers stay on time and on track. Quote truck insurance today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Hello and welcome to another episode of That's Absurd. Please elaborate. A show where we, the two people here that you haven't heard from the other one, but there's two people here, and we answer a question that you sent us. We get those questions from our listeners from all over the world. Thank you for listening to the 106th most popular science podcast in Singapore. That's us.
Oh, we're big in Singapore?
We're number 106 out of 200.
Let's go!
Specifically in the science vertical. Not
I'll
overall.
Take it.
Me
I'll
too.
Take it. Somebody in Singapore has heard my voice, which is a crazy thing to think about.
It is kind of crazy. Yeah, that's Julian, by the way. He's a science communicator, all-around nice guy. And I'm Trace Dominguez, science communicator, and yeah, I'm nice sometimes too.
Don't get on my bad side, famously.
Do
Trace
I have
Dominguez.
a bad side? I don't know if I do.
You don't want to see it.
Each week we answer questions from you. If you want to send us questions, go into the show notes. We'll tell you more about it at the end of the show. This week we've got two questions from our listeners. First up is Julian, when you'll hear about his question in a second. And mine comes from Liza, who asks about emotions and if there's any ones that no one has felt. But we'll come back to that in the second half of the show.
Something to think about. And I'm going to be thinking about that when I want to talk about my question, which is a good one. It's from David P. on Spotify, who asks, is absorbing vitamin D through sunlight a real thing, or is this propaganda from Big Sun?
Oh,
if it's
Big
real,
Sun.
How does it work? What else do we absorb from the sun? And does this work on furry animals?
Ooh, good question. Love me some vitamin chat. I was listening to last episode. We had Ella from the Let's Learn Everything podcast. I was talking to Tom Lum, and he's looking into some things, was talking about vitamins and how they made him angry. And I thought that was great because they don't make sense. They're not in order. They were in like the order they were discovered. I'm not going to steal your thunder, but there's some really good stuff here.
I don't go deep on too many different vitamins, but it's funny to hear that apparently it's upsetting Tom Lum over on the Let's Learn Everything podcast.
It's upsetting him. He's upset about it.
I could see it. I did delve a little bit into like different vitamin names and stuff and go like, what was the plan here? But I didn't really look into it. More overarchingly, though, of course. Trace, what's a vitamin?
It's a little pill that you get at the store. Or
the pill itself.
Sometimes it's shaped like some kind of gummy Flintstone.
Yeah, little Flintstone.
I don't even think kids know who the Flintstones are outside of the vitamin situation these days.
You've got a point.
Like, when was the last time the Hanna-Barbera cartoon The Flintstones aired on television in a place where a child would see it? Also, I don't know if I'd want my children to see the Flintstones. Have you watched it lately? Fred has some issues. He's banging on the door, shouting at his wife. He's got some issues with his friends. He doesn't treat people very well. Also, there's some dinosaurs running around town. It's a little bit like Creationist Museum. I don't know. There's a lot of issues.
Yeah, and Barney is a thief of Fruity Pebbles.
Oh, true. Yes.
Which honestly, at this point, do you think kids, if they ever see the cartoon, they're like, they made a whole show about the Fruity Pebbles guys? That's how I would do it.
I honestly didn't think about it. But when I have seen them on the box, I was walking through the grocery store this week and I thought, do kids even know who that is?
Yeah, former.
They're just the guys on the box.
Yeah, well, there used to be cigarette salesmen way back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're doing something marginally less harmful to people's health, promoting sugary
Just
cereal.
these tiny, colorful sugar flakes.
Well, at least it's not cigarette.
So anyway, that tangent is excellent. We could probably spend a whole hour talking about the Flintstones. I used to give Flintstones as the name because people get Dominguez wrong a lot, especially in the Midwest. Not a lot of Latinos there. So when you would go to a restaurant or whatever and you'd be like, Dominguez for the party, they would be like, Dominiquitz. They just didn't get it. So I would just say Flintstone or Jetson, depending on.
That's cute. You look more like Fred than,
George?
George. That's it. I almost said Leroy. Okay, so a vitamin is not the specific pill. The pill's full of vitamins, obviously. Obviously,
Right.
you knew that, but in case anybody is taking us seriously, which
Oh yeah, I totally knew that. I knew it. Yeah, totally. Yep.
it's like an organic compound that your body needs to do some function that's vital to you staying alive, but you don't make it on your own, so you have to get it from other sources, right? And there's a bunch of them. Vitamin D is, of course, one of them. In fact, there's multiple vitamin Ds. The one that we care most about is vitamin D3. It's fat soluble. It accumulates in your body because of that in the fatty tissue, unlike vitamin C, which is water soluble. And so vitamin D3 is also known as cholecalciferol. So if you hear the OL on the end there, that means it's an alcohol.
Right.
So technically, we're all addicted to alcohol. We need it to survive.
The
But
sun makes it for us.
in the form of vitamin D3. Yeah, sun drunk. It doesn't get you drunk like alcohol that you would imbibe would, obviously. So, by the way, I got a lot of this information from the channel Institute of Human Anatomy. Shout out to them. If you ever want to see a handsome man very calmly explaining anatomy stuff to you in a room that's just full of cadavers, that's the channel for you.
The dream. The dream.
He's just so calm, surrounded by all these wrapped up bodies. And I'm like, I don't know how you do it, man. Props to you. I think I'd be freaking out a little bit.
I feel like he has to be calm, surrounded by bodies. Because if you get too excited, one of them might. So I was reading recently, like yesterday.
Oh, no.
So when you die, your brain stops working, you go into brain death, you're pronounced dead, right? But you are not dead. You're more of like a city than you are a single entity. So you have all these parts of you that are still doing things after you've died. Is this too dark?
Go on.
Because sometimes your body moves after you've been declared dead.
Oh, yeah?
There's a reflex that happens in your arms that I can't remember the name of, but basically your arms just like bend upward toward your face and like cross and then go back down again.
Oh.
And so you could just be like, you could be a cadaver, essentially, corpse. You are dead. You've been declared dead. And your body will just like move its arms up, cross the hands, put the arms back down again. And people see this and they think like, oh, that person's not dead. It can be really tough for loved ones who see that, but it can also be very scary for people that don't expect this dead body to all of a sudden move. And this is just one of several of these kind of things, which I just think is amazing.
While we're going off on random dead body tangents, my favorite is I heard about the pilot who got his like commercial pilot's license and he was all excited to get a job. And his job was flying bodies from one place to another.
I was like, well, he's a commercial pilot. Of course his job is flying, Julian. I don't understand what you're talking about. Of course.
Yeah.
He didn't know that?
A lot of them fly bodies, but these ones aren't, like alive.
Oh.
And so he flies bodies from one place to another. And the first time he went up to altitude, where the air pressure is less.
Oh, no.
All of these bodies in the back start groaning.
Oh, no.
Because the air that was still in their lungs is under higher pressure and it forced its way out. So he's just in the air.
So they're all just like going,
Exactly. Can you imagine the terror?
I would be like, nope, we're crashing now.
Nope,
I'm going to crash.
We're crashing.
I'm not going to be patient zero in this zombie apocalypse. We're all dying. We're going.
Zombie plane. Get out of here, snakes on a plane.
Yeah,
Zombie
take that.
plane is a way better premise.
Zombie plane. Honestly, zombie plane would be pretty good.
Plane to Busan. It'd be so good.
Wow. Wow.
Anyway.
How did we get here? I don't
No
know.
idea.
It doesn't matter. Vitamins are cool.
Listen, the people in Singapore love the tangents, okay? So it's important.
Clearly.
Okay, so I am, though, kind of on the same page as David, where I've heard this, you go in the sun, you get vitamin D. Everybody says that, sure. And I never really thought to look into how it worked. And now that he brought it up, I'm like, what is going on there? Why?
How vitamin D we?
Why my body on its own is like no vitamin D, if I'm inside gaming for 12 hours a day. But if I go outside for a little bit, my body's like, vitamin D now, we good. Why? How? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it all starts because we have a compound in our epidermis, the outermost layer of our skin, called 7-dehydrocholesterol.
Great.
Now, Trace, I am going to share with you an image of 7-dehydrocholesterol, and I would like for you to describe this organic molecule to the good people of Singapore.
Okay. It looks like a hallway, and at one end there's a hoe. That's what it says, like a Santa Claus, I guess, H-O. And it kind of goes in, and there's a room. It's a hexagonal room. And then there's another room, and in that room, it's just, and there's a couple benches where you can sit. Maybe it's like a projector, like a movie. And then you go into and there's like, then you go into and there's obviously a sliding door, Star Trek style, in between. And then you go into another room, a little hexagonal room. There's nothing in that one. There's another Star Trek door, but also a projecting H out the side of that one. And then there's a smaller, just pentagon-shaped room, or maybe it's like a closet with a teeny tiny hallway and a couple projectors off of that. One H, one not sure. And then at the end, a little Y junction dead end kind of situation. It's a very badly made Dungeons and Dragons map, for sure.
I was going more like a fish, like a little fish diving down.
Oh,
with
you wanted it
tail.
like one. Yeah, kind of. Okay, sure.
No, it's fine. You can go
tadpole-esque.
Carbon ring by carbon ring. That's fine. So yeah, it's an organic molecule. I shared with Trace, those images you see of molecule drawings. And if you aren't familiar with chemistry, it might be a little confusing. But each little point of the ring is a carbon. And then the lines coming off of them that are like a wedge, that's the way of making the image three-dimensional, right? So that's coming out of the page toward you. The hashed lines are going into the page. And then if there's nothing specifically attached to the carbon, assume that's hydrogen. And otherwise, it'll tell you if it's like a hydrogen or a hydroxyl group, an OH, like you described, right? So this has 3 hexagonal rings, 1 pentagonal ring, and then like a little tail, and then some hydrogens and some carbons, and one hydroxyl, that alcohol, the thing that makes it an alcohol, sticking off of the first ring.
Right.
So this is in our epidermis. Why? It's a precursor to vitamin D3, but it's also a cholesterol precursor. And when we hear cholesterol, we usually think like, the thing that clogs up your arteries and makes you have a heart attack, right?
Yeah, that's what I associate it with.
Yeah, but it's useful in every cell of your body. It's a building block of cell membranes. So you're making and using cholesterol everywhere, right? In your body. And so it's there in your skin, this precursor to cholesterol, this molecule that wants to grow up and become cholesterol someday. But if you go out in sunlight, something happens. So I'm sending you now what happens when you go out in sunlight. It's another molecule. And can you spot the difference? Yeah.
So this one, the hallway is a lot more bent. One room is open to the outside. That's crazy. Wow. Jeez.
Yes.
And over here, it either had 2 walls or, maybe just like, I guess the little fishtail's a little bent. Basically, it just rearranges itself a little bit. But there's still, we've got a few hexagons. We've still got our little pentagon. We've still got some hash marks. We've still got our hydroxyl group over here. But now it's going into the page, I guess, instead of out of the page based on your description. So it's like a little slide. Whee! Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah. So the most important thing that you zeroed on in there was that second room, quote unquote, the second ring, the second hexagon in the molecule, losing a wall.
Yeah.
So what happened there is light carries energy, right? And the smaller the wavelength, the higher energy the light is. And if you have enough energy, you can break bonds between molecules. And UVB light has enough energy to break that bond in the second ring and form this molecule, which is the precursor to vitamin D. And then that first hexagon will rotate around and a new double bond will form. You get this molecule I just sent you.
Another molecule. I'm in organic chemistry again. Oh,
You're
wow.
basically an OChem.
Okay, so this one, we've got the hoe at the bottom. It's on a little slide. Whee! And then we've got a room. Then we have the room with the benches is like wide open. And then there's like a little Indiana Jones walkway, dun, 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 you know, to another hexagon room, and then a little pentagon closet. And we've got a little wee down to an H, and we got a little up to something, which I assume is another H because it's not specified. And then, you know, a little tail again. So now we're back to kind of like that tadpole-ish shape, but the tadpole has had some of a kind of an explosion with its body.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The tadpole shape is kind of back to how it was before, because that little tail can actually rotate around. Like a lot of these molecules the bonds can pivot if they're, you know, set up a certain way.
Right.
And so what happened there is that second ring that broke pivoted around on one of the carbons, and then new bonds formed, and that is vitamin D3.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so it was on its way to becoming cholesterol, and then sunlight was like, not so fast, pal. Broke it, and then it rebuilt itself, how beautiful, into vitamin D3. It enters your bloodstream, and now it travels to your liver, where the liver modifies it into 25-hydroxycholecalciferol. Don't worry, I'm not going to send you an image. Rest assured that it looks similar to the vitamin D3. And then the kidneys take that, and they add something else to it to make it 1,25-dihydroxycholecalciferol. And that is ultimately what you need in your body for a few different purposes. So this final form, most importantly, helps us absorb calcium. It stimulates cells in our intestine. It sends a little signal to them. When they see this 1,25-dihydroxycholecalciferol, these intestinal cells go, oh, I'm going to start making proteins that'll grab calcium from inside the intestine. I'm going to transfer that to the bloodstream. And then the body's going to start depositing it all around, like your bones. Vitamin D also has other possible uses in our body, though. There are receptors in a lot of other places, like immune cells, so it's possible they play a role there. There's a lot of vitamin D research on the influence of vitamin D on our mood, on our muscle functions, on hormonal pathways, growth and behavior of cancer cells. And there are at least 1,000 different genes that govern virtually every tissue in the body, and they are now thought to be regulated by vitamin D3.
Wow.
So
I didn't know
it's possible it does a lot. When you think more than just about how it's grabbing calcium and depositing it in our bones, calcium's an important ion in our body in other places like your nervous system or your muscular system, because it's used in neurons firing and sending signals, right? Calcium as an ion has a +2 charge, and your cells also use potassium, which has a +1 charge. So if there's calcium on one side of the cell and potassium on the other, you get a difference of charges, and so you get a voltage. And that's, you know, swapping those ions around is how your body sends signals through itself. So deficiency of vitamin D can include fatigue, muscle aches and weaknesses, and just feeling overall kind of blah.
Kind of blah.
So because you need calcium for more than just strong, healthy bones, especially you need it for signaling and using your muscles, when you're low on calcium, your body goes, hey, I need some calcium. And where does it take it from?
Your bones.
Your bones. You can take it from your bones. So if we're not absorbing enough calcium from our diet, our body will pull it from reserves in our bones. It can lead to weakened bones, osteoporosis, and for growing children, where building their bones is kind of important because they're growing, they can get rickets, which interferes with bone health and growth. And, you know, it can make them like have inward bent legs or outward bent legs. It was a problem, actually, for a while. And we'll get to that. Now, Trace.
Yes.
Do you think other animals need to do this too?
I mean, it would seem kind of like an important thing to be able to absorb calcium into your bloodstream.
Yeah.
If
you
needed.
have bones, right?
Yeah, I feel like if you have dem bones, they say, if you have dem bones, then you need that calciferol. Cholecalciferol. Cholecalciferol.
Vitamin D3, forget it. It's D3.
Yeah. D3, Mighty Ducks.
Yep.
Right.
So just because we can't make a vitamin doesn't mean that other species can't make it on their own.
Oh.
For example, vitamin C, right? We don't make it.
The orange juice vitamin.
The orange juice vitamin, famously.
As we all know.
We don't make it, but dogs make it.
They do?
Yes. So
that's why they don't need to drink orange juice.
Yeah.
Or other citruses.
That's why you never see a dog drinking orange juice.
It was really jonesing for a glass of orange juice.
Just unnecessary. If you say a dog drinking orange juice, you go, hey, you don't need to do that.
And the dog's like, oh, I don't know.
I'm sorry, I was trying to be health conscious, but I didn't realize.
I felt a little run down.
Okay, I'll give it back to you. Fine. Get out of my orange juice, dog. I do think it's funny then, because scurvy, right, is a disease caused by vitamin C deficiency. But every time a pirate is calling somebody a scurvy dog, I'd be like, actually, unless this dog has a genetic disorder where it can't produce vitamin C.
And then
You're being factually inaccurate, Mr. Pirate.
The pirate takes their cutlass and runs you through, boyo.
Oh, at least I died being right.
That might be the funniest thing that's ever happened on this show. That's great.
So also, other apes and monkeys, though, they can't make vitamin C. But primates in the suborder of Stripsarini, which includes lemurs, and the terrifying nightmare and enemy of the pod known as the eye,
the nose picker,
they can make their own vitamin C. It's actually an important synapomorphy, which is like a shared trait that an organism and all its descendants have, that separates monkeys and apes from these Stripsarini primates.
Cool.
So at some point, we could make vitamin C, in our evolutionary past, and we lost that ability.
Huh. And
now,
we just eat some fruits and things in our environment in order to consume that and get it into our bodies.
Right, which is probably why we could afford to lose it, right? There was no evolutionary pressure, like you have to keep making your own vitamin C, wherever our ancestor ape people were living, well, really monkey people. And this is an argument I got into with somebody on the internet, but I swear it's, how people are like, apes aren't monkeys, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same as whales aren't fish. It's like, yes, but also no.
Yeah.
Like because apes are like a suborder within monkeys, that still makes them monkeys. But anyway, tangent. It wasn't important for us to keep making it our own. Our diet had it in it. And so our body could afford to lose that ability and didn't affect us. So I looked into it to see, well, was this ever the case with vitamin D at some point? Were we actually just making it through some internal mechanism that didn't involve sunlight or any species for that matter?
Right.
And it turns out, no.
Oh.
There's no animals that without exposure to sunlight or, through eating something vitamin D rich in their diet can make vitamin D on their own.
Whoa. I didn't know. So do they all get it, I guess, those two ways? They either eat it or their skin is exposed to sun.
I found studies looking into how much fur affects furry animals making vitamin D, because it was thought at one point that like fur would basically act like a UV blocking piece of clothing.
Yeah.
I found a 2009 study of dairy cows where they covered them in various ways and then put them in the sunlight for a little bit and measured the vitamin D in their bloodstream. And they found that, actually, if you cover these animals with cloth, they won't have as much vitamin D in their blood. They still can make vitamin D through their fur, through sunlight hitting their skin through their fur. But I also found sources saying that domestic pets, cats and dogs, they don't get enough vitamin D alone just through sunlight. And so they need to have their diet fortified. So your pet food probably has vitamin D supplements in there to keep them having healthy bones.
Huh.
I did find that fish get it from plankton, which make it from sunlight. And so fish have a lot of fatty tissue. And we said vitamin D is fat soluble, so they can store up a lot of vitamin D. And then things that eat the fish also get that vitamin D. So if you are living somewhere where you don't get a lot of sunlight, you can still get enough vitamin D through your fish.
Huh.
And birds, this was the coolest one to me. Birds, they preen themselves, right? They clean their feathers. And while they're doing that, they secrete an oil onto their feathers. When this oil is exposed to sunlight, it produces vitamin D. And then the next time the bird preens, they ingest the oil and get the vitamin D that way.
So they're excreting new oil and ingesting the old oil.
Yes. And in the process, the vitamin D produced in that oil gets into their system. And so even though they've got these thick feathers that are probably really effective at blocking out sunlight, this oil still lets them get vitamin D.
Birds are so weird and cool.
Right? Okay. Now, David P., part of why I like this was the conspiracy of Big Sun.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. The conspiracy.
Conspiracy. And I say, David, that this is actually a different kind of conspiracy.
Oh, what does that mean? Like a good one?
Actually, yeah.
Oh, great.
Kind of. So
a conspiracy.
A conspiracy, senor.
A conspiracy.
Sí. Mass conspiracy, por favor. So you can get vitamin D from sunlight. It's more effective the lighter your skin tone is, right?
Right.
Found a study saying, quote, for most white people, a half hour in the summer sun in a bathing suit can initiate the release of 50,000 international units, which is 1.25 milligrams, of vitamin D into circulation within 24 hours of exposure. This same amount of exposure yields 20 to 30,000 international units in tan individuals and just 8 to 10,000 international units in dark-skinned people. So it can be 5 times more effective at producing vitamin D if you are, like you and me, melanin deficient, right?
Sure.
Like quite low in the melanin department.
Right. Lesser than some.
Right. This is an evolutionary response to humans migrating, right?
Yeah.
Like when we first came into being closer to the equator, you didn't need so much vitamin D. You're getting a lot of direct sunlight, right? What's more important really is making sure that the UV light in sunlight is not damaging your DNA, causing uncomfortable, painful sunburns, or worse, possibly directly or indirectly causing different types of cancers, right? So you melanate to protect. The melanin absorbs and blocks a lot of that UV light, and then you still get enough to make vitamin D. But as you go farther north, where the direct sunlight becomes less and less, the hours of the day become shorter, you really need to maximize how much vitamin D you're getting from the limited sun that you have. And so you get paler and paler and paler. And so this whole people having different skin tones, it's just like an accident of latitude, It's very funny to me.
A lot of people died over the millions of years of this change.
Yeah.
Like a group of darker skinned individuals, to oversimplify, left Africa heading north at some point. And again, this is vastly oversimplified, over hundreds of thousands or millions of years. And over that time, they had babies, and the babies that were darker skinned had vitamin D deficiencies.
Right. And so they were more likely to have birth defects like spina bifida. And so the ones that were paler skinned were more likely to survive.
Yeah, an evolutionary pressure. Just one of many things, but yeah, again, oversimplified.
If these same people turned around and head back south, right, now they're at a disadvantage because they're getting, sunburns and cancers, right? And darker skin's an advantage there. And that's it. That's we built so much of our world over evolution just being like, hey, this is better for your survival, actually, if you're like a pasty white person way up here
in the cloudy
and a
world,
darker skinned person down here.
Right.
Know?
That's it.
In cloudy, sunless land.
There wasn't a lot of back and forth. People weren't hopping on a machine to fly to a sunny place and then flying back to the cloudy place, or vice versa.
Or a boat, that could get them there relatively quickly compared to walking for long, long periods of time. Right. And then, I don't know. I always think it's so funny that people have built an entire view of the world. And it's like, guys, it's just evolution selecting for something that was nice for this group in this particular place. It's not especially better all the time. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
Right.
So we also mentioned you can get vitamin D, not just from being in the sunlight, but you can get it from your diet, right? Fish in your diet or fortified foods. So, David, I put it to you that the conspiracy is actually fortified foods trying to sell more indoors.
Oh, so it's big inside.
It's big. Yeah, it's big doors.
Big doors.
Big doors.
Or really more like big roofs.
Yeah.
It's big roof.
Big walls. Big walls and roofs. Big indoors. Anyway, we only discovered vitamin D when people started moving from farms to cities during the Industrial Revolution, and rickets cases shot up.
Yeah. And I'm sure they thought it was a moral failing, and
oh yeah,
all these people in their evil cities,
The farm life is the healthy life. By the late 1800s, approximately 90% of all children living in industrialized Europe and North America had some manifestations of rickets.
Whoa.
90%.
Wow. That's a lot.
So to fight this, we tried a lot of different things. Some children were exposed to UV radiation from a mercury or carbon arc lamp, and they would do this 1 hour, 3 times a week in the winter. So literally just plop Tiny Tim in front of an arc lamp.
Like a tanning lamp.
Yeah, a tanning bed, basically.
Wow.
And we also realized that, hey, some of these foods like cod liver oil could prevent rickets. What's going on here? So we studied it and we discovered vitamin D and its benefits. So in the 1930s, the US decided that we were going to start fortifying milk. We had this problem, particularly among poor children in northern cities, of rickets. So we decided milk was a great way to eradicate this because it's available. It's palatable to children, unlike, I imagine, cod liver oil. I've never had it, but I've been a child. And if mom told me you're having cod liver oil, I'd be like, no way.
I'm fine, thanks.
Absolutely not.
I'll keep the rickets.
And milk is also rich in calcium as well. So you get a 2-for-1 of like, here's the vitamin D to absorb the calcium and the calcium.
Right.
So really, fortified foods are a way for big cities to sell more indoors. That's it. Going out in the sun is combating the tyranny of big cities.
And big inside.
Big public health initiative. The insidious big public health initiative.
Huh, that's so interesting. So it's not Big Sun. Big Sun's like,
what the heck?
I'll give this to you for free.
Yeah. What? You didn't need to go and squeeze the teat of another mammal and then artificially add vitamin D. You're making this so complicated.
Just go outside.
Just go outside.
For like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the thing that always gets me about the vitamin D discussion. Yes, it does depend on where you are, how much direct sunlight you're getting, whether it's cloudy or not, the melanation level of your skin, etc. But it's still not like people are like, oh, got to get my vitamin D fix. I got to go outside for like 3 to 4 hours. I'm just like, you probably don't need to be out there that long.
But how much of that though is also from this public health initiative that by this point, almost 100 years later, we've kind of forgotten about, right?
Yeah.
We keep doing this where we have like some horrible problem that's running rampant through the population. We devise a solution, we implement it.
And it's an excellent solution, clearly.
Yeah, right? When was the last time you met someone with rickets?
I mean, there was this guy, he was carrying something and it was really rickety. It wasn't very strong.
That is not the disease known as rickets.
Squeaking a lot.
That is unrelated to the public health emergency that was rickets 100 years ago.
All right.
Right. So we basically eradicated this thing because of us fortifying foods that people commonly eat with vitamin D. And I'm just waiting for the day that somebody's like, what's all this vitamin D doing in here?
Don't give them ideas.
Yeah, I know. They're already all upset about milk being pasteurized. Again, another public health problem that clever people solved.
I'm really proud of them for figuring out that they should heat it. Now they're against homogenization, which is just a fancy way of saying, we mixed 2 cows' milk together. It's now homogenized. Like, we mixed it.
Anyway, thanks, Sun, and thank you, public health scientists who put vitamin D in things, because I am very pale. I don't go outside. I would have definitely had rickets if this were a century past. So I appreciate my ability to have bones that aren't bendy and let me walk. That's nice. Thanks for that.
Good for you. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Let's take a quick break, and everybody can contemplate their bones.
Every day as a small business owner feels like solving a puzzle. One moment you're cruising along, and the next, there's a shipping snag that has you scrambling. But here's a surprise you will like. With Progressive, small business owners save 13% on their commercial auto insurance when they pay in full. So go ahead, surprise yourself. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Oh, welcome back from your mandatory vitamin D break. Trace, you teased your question and it was intriguing, so hit me with it again. What is it? Who asked it?
This question comes from Liza, who sent us some audio.
Hello, my name is Liza. I'm from the US, and my question is, are there any emotions that no one has ever felt before? I was thinking that despite how different everyone experiences a human is, most people end up feeling similar emotions like anger, sadness, happiness, etc. And made me wonder if there was an emotion that no one has ever felt before, or maybe it's such a rare feeling that not every human gets to experience it. Going off of that, are there emotions that are much more common in different animals that maybe aren't seen too often in humans? I know it's kind of hard to look at this objectively since our emotions tend to be very subjective, but it's still good to think about. Thank you. I love you guys' podcast. Bye.
Liza is like the most empathetic person, and she's like, but what if I'm not experiencing the right emotions enough? I need to tap into how other people are feeling even harder.
Maybe she just wants to collect other emotions. She's just like,
I
felt all these.
Oh,
I need some new emotions here.
That's an interesting
the new
idea.
Ones, you know?
I like that, right? Like, I'm only here so long. I want to experience all the emotions.
Isn't that the goal?
The whole spectrum of the human experience.
That's right. I love also that Liza thought through, like we always compliment our listeners, they thought through it a little bit. She was like, oh, well, I know this is a subjective thing. It's hard to be objective about emotions. All of that also listed some emotions there in her audio. And just to be clear, the question she asked right there at the beginning, are there emotions that no one has ever felt before? Which is pretty amazing to think about. I think I'm going to just say right off the bat, we don't know if there are. There's probably not, though, with billions of people having experiences every single day, you know, for millions of years, depending on when you have the cutoff of what people are and are not people. But emotions are a complex area of psychological research, and that research, even outside of the invention of psychology, dates back centuries. Even in philosophy, René Descartes wrote about the 6 primitive or fundamental passions. Have you heard of these before?
No.
Wonder, love, hatred, desire, joy, and sadness. I've experienced all those. I don't know if you've experienced.
Yeah.
You check all those off?
What was the second to last one?
Joy.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. Not lately, anyway. This was in the 1640s, by the way, that he wrote this down. So we've dug into emotion sense and tried to get a more objective view of an emotions. We've mapped the human genome. We've explored philosophical concepts about quantum mechanics and how they might affect consciousness and how they might affect how we feel. And yet, we still only have come up with about a handful of what we call universal emotions. You want to take a stab at what the universal emotions are? I'll give you a hint. There are 6. Descartes got some of them correct, but not all of them.
One of them is definitely umami.
Yes, deliciousness.
Yeah. The savoriness.
The savory,
sweet,
savory deliciousness.
Sour. It's like that, but for feelings instead of flavors.
You've got sour feelings. You've got savory feelings.
What are feelings but flavors of experience?
Flavors of the mind.
Flavors of the mind.
Good album name.
I kind of love it, actually.
I do too. This is excellent.
Okay. Fundamental emotions, 6 of them. Okay, I'm a man, so anger.
Okay, sure. Yeah, anger is one.
One of the 2 emotions I've been told I'm allowed to feel. Happiness.
Joy. Yes.
Joy. Right. I'm sorry. It's an unfamiliar word.
Also known as enjoyment.
Enjoyment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess there's really only 5 because I wrote them and then was like, there are 6 words here, but it's really joy and enjoyment are 1.
Joy / enjoyment.
5.
Okay.
So we've got joy and anger.
Okay. Openness. I'm doing the personality types. There's so many things of 5 to remember.
The big
Why
5.
is it always 5 things?
That's funny.
Sadness.
Right.
Confusion.
Not confusion.
I think it should be.
Yeah.
All right. I give up on the other 2. Those are the only 3 emotions I've ever felt.
You can't think of like fear?
No, I fear nothing.
Oh, well, that's okay. And then disgust. We're basically just doing the cast of Inside Out. I was like, I don't understand.
Yeah, it's true. It's right there, isn't it?
Joy, sadness, fear, anger, and disgust.
Yeah, they probably researched this when they were building a whole movie around it.
They did research it.
Yeah, that's the thing that Pixar would do.
Yeah, Inside Out is actually really useful when talking about emotions. I think a lot of people are going to be thinking of Inside Out while they're listening to me talk about this, and that is fine. There are people who are like, oh, this is bad, but even psychologists who work in this field, they find it a useful tool as a film. So more so the first one than the second one. The second one's also useful, but in a different way. But like they split some of the general emotions into different parts, and they needed a different antagonist. And so it doesn't matter. The point is, joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust are considered universal emotions. Everybody experiences them, and they all experience them essentially the same way. And so even though it is a subjective experience, we can objectively view how people respond to things by looking at their physical actions when they feel something, which is pretty cool to think about. So those universal emotions come from the IFS, which is the Internal Family Systems Model of Emotionally Focused Therapy. That's by Dr. Richard Schwartz. It talks all about emotions and acknowledges that they all have a role to play, very valuable in therapy and all sorts of other models. And then there's the preeminent scientist who studies emotions, who I read when I was studying psychology, which is Paul Ekman, one of the world's 100 most influential scientists. But those 5 emotions are just the universal ones. They're not all the emotions. I actually wrote in my notes, they're like different flavors.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Look at that. Love your brain.
Yeah.
Love how your brain tastes, bud. Flavors of the mind. Taste the brain.
The Skittles commercial now?
Taste the Brainbow.
Taste the Brainbow. Excellent. So these emotions, if you think of them as like a tree of emotions or like a root of emotions, each one kind of has a different branching set of flavors and intensities. Actually, Ekman puts them on a chart with the x-axis as least to most intense and the y is nothing. Very Apple-like. It's just like, yeah, and they go up.
And then there's
number go up. We good.
Sure.
Number went up.
This
Fine.
means something.
Yeah, it means it's important.
Don't worry about
it. It's good. Yeah, you don't need to think too hard about it. It's fine. So I'm going to put these in here, and I want you to read them for our listeners because they can't see this incredible chart that I think they're going to enjoy.
Okay. All right.
So these are the emotions in the sadness graph.
The overall chart looks like a half of a butterfly's wing.
Ooh,
right?
Nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Descriptive, right? And so like the back part of the wing on the most left side, there's disappointment, and it's like a little hump. And it goes from least intense to middling intense. And then you have discouragement, which is like a bigger hump, like forming a larger part of the wing. And it's more in the middle of intensity. And then going up in this fashion, you've got distraughtness, resignation, helplessness, hopelessness, misery, despair, grief, sorrow, and then a really spiky peak at most intense is anguish.
Yeah. So these are all under sadness.
Yeah.
Pretty
I'm sad
wild,
looking
right?
at it. This is quite a sad chart.
Yeah. With kids, we talk about like how kids have big feelings, and like disappointment doesn't feel that big, but like helplessness, if you've ever felt truly grief stricken, maybe you had some tragedy in your life, those feelings feel big, and they are shown on this graph as bigger, which I think is very interesting.
The y-axis should be bigness of feeling.
Bigness. How big is this feeling? Because it kind of is that.
This is towards the top of the bigness scale.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Interestingly, this graphing system they did for all the different kind of, again, flavors, if you will, of emotion. Here's another that I'll show you, and you can describe the difference. Now, notice that they're differently shaped, they're differently colored, very different. The first one was mostly blue, which is sadness, I guess.
And the peaks were quite rounded, and these ones have pointy, discontinuous peaks.
Yeah, so they're more like little meringues,
little mango slices.
Yeah.
So we've got from least intense to most and lowest peak to highest, sensory pleasure, rejoicing, compassion/joy, amusement, schadenfreude, that's kind of messed up, relief, peace, pride, fiero, that's a Pontiac. That's a car. Natchez, I don't understand. I have never seen some of these words as emotions. Wonder, excitement, and then the peak where before anguish was like the most intense and highest, biggest feel in sadness. That here is ecstasy.
Yeah. So Natchez is commonly used to express pride in someone else's success. It comes from Yiddish. So your grandma is going to get so much Natchez watching you sing in the school talent show. I get cute. Natchez with you all the time, bro.
I can't watch my children's play. Dude. I get Natchez.
Yeah.
Okay, and I looked up fiero.
My first result is 16 Enjoyable Emotions by Paul Ekman.
Wow, we have very different search algorithms because I'd put it in the chat.
The Pontiac Fiero.
The Pontiac
Wikipedia
Fiero.
page.
It is a car. I knew it.
I mean, I knew it was a car. I also watched the
How I Met Your Mother.
Excellent show, How I Met Your Mother. excellent for several seasons, not all seasons. But that's fine. We're not going to get into it.
They have their peaks, much like sensory pleasure or rejoicing, right? There's like...
Right, yeah.
And then a decline.
It's interesting. I also noted that Schadenfreude was here, and these are the joy, like happy emotions. Right. And I found it interesting that Schadenfreude was here. But also that makes sense if you think of things like Naches, where you're really like thinking about other people bringing you joy. The Schadenfreude is a bit of like joy at other people's misery, which is weird.
It's the anti-Naches.
Yeah, it is kind of.
It's like Naches like, I'm so happy you did well, and Schadenfreude is like, I'm so happy you failed.
Happy that Jessica failed big time during the talent show.
Now everyone in 5th grade knows you're a fraud.
You will never get over this. Or maybe you will. I don't know. Maybe you'll have therapy and things will go better for you. And I really hope that for you because of the peace that I feel middle.
That I'll feel Naches for you.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of different ones. And again, this is sadness and joy. And there's these charts for all of them. We're not going to go through all of them. It would take a while. But Ekman connects the emotional experience to the signals for those emotions so that he can explore them objectively. For example, when you feel joy, you typically smile. When you feel sadness, you typically frown. Those are two universal facial expressions as well, which I think is very cool. So we're universally aware of disgust, the little smirk of contempt, which is another actually universal facial expression. The face of anger, fear, surprise, those are all universal facial expressions. So again, in the opposite of kind of how Liza was thinking about it, being like, oh, well, these things are entirely subjective. They are subjective. However, we can see how we as a species react to them. Animals, on the other hand, to kind of touch on Liza's later part of her question, experience some emotions. We don't understand how they experience all of them, and their facial expressions do not match the emotional facial expressions that we have, although some learn the facial expression in order to dodge punishment. For example, dogs, we don't know if they feel guilt and shame. We don't think they do because that would imply that they understand like a episodic timeline of life. So they knew that they did something bad in the past, and now they're paying the price for that thing that they did bad, but they shouldn't pay the price. They feel bad about it. And so that's like a lot of complex emotional thought. And so we don't know if dogs feel that, but we've all seen the dog do that like kind of grief face. Oh no, don't punish
I went
me.
Through the trash. Right.
But that's a learned behavior. They think that whether the dog is feeling that emotion is debatable, but that behavior is 100% a learned behavior where that's like they get out of a punishment then and like you get over it because they're so cute. So guilt and shame also, Ekman says, might be part of sadness. They might not actually be a separate emotion, but there are those other emotions. Embarrassment, for example. There is a physical cue for embarrassment. We all have seen it. It's that blushing, like your face turns red, but not every human face, per the vitamin D conversation we had earlier, like melanated faces don't blush as obviously as less melanated faces.
Right.
And so how can that be a universal emotion and a universal physical response if it didn't even really show up early on in our evolution? Later it did, and it's hard to say. You know, it may have evolved later. It may not have a signal yet that is universal. We don't know, which is pretty interesting. Also, Ekman writes that he doesn't consider envy and jealousy emotions, but that we feel them, and they are associated with physical responses, but it could be a mix of other emotions like anger and sadness and contempt. And it's just kind of swirled up. And again, those feel quite big.
Balancing the flavors to make a new kind of taste.
Yeah,
new dish.
like envy is just an emotional quiche because I don't like quiche, and so I don't want it. I'm envious, but I don't want to feel the envy.
Yeah. You feel disgust at quiche.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
and
feel
disgust at myself
when you think about envy.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
See, it's complicated.
Multi-course meal, yeah.
It seems, based on Liza's question, we're looking for an emotion that no one has felt before. So it probably doesn't have a physical signal, so we haven't been able to objectively study it. And it isn't just a combination of other emotional states. Can you think of any emotion that you have felt that you cannot connect to a physical signal that also feels somewhat memorable? Because I was racking my brain. on this?
I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is like when I'm first kind of waking up, especially if I'm coming out of like an intense dream and I'm in that state of like muddled confusion and there's like a remnant of an emotion, but it's like distant and weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would describe that. I did bring up confusion before.
You did. Yeah. I think confusion does have like a universal, maybe not universal, but like a well-known...
It feels a certain way.
Yeah, and a facial signal that usually goes with that is like, huh?
Yeah.
Like you kind of make that like, huh? What?
But I think it could be when we're talking about like, different emotions kind of combining to be this unique, separate feeling. I feel like you could kind of mix and match emotions in a new way that, maybe
no one's mixed before.
Yeah, the proportions are different. Nobody's exactly felt that way before, but you can still kind of understand it. Like if I describe a recipe to you and you make it a little differently, it'll taste similar. You'll kind of get the idea, but you will not have tasted the exact same thing as what I made.
Right. I love that. I think that's a great analogy. Even if we just use the emotions we've listed so far, that we have objective reality like for, with universal facial expressions, et cetera, there's definitely ways to push those together that everybody's going to feel them a little differently. I think jealousy is a great example because most people feel jealousy, but not everybody feels into the same levels of intensity. Like if you were to map it on that graph that we talked about earlier, where it was like least to most intense and then also bigness.
For some people, of it.
Right, the bigosity. Some people's bigosity of jealousy would probably be like near the top.
Much bigger
and other
bigosity.
people's would just be like, I get jealousy, but I'm not like, it doesn't take over my life, But we all know people on boboth ends of that spectrum where they're I feel jealous of this person, but I'm fine. And other people that are like, I'm so jealous that I can't even be around them. I'm just so upset. It's just so much to me.
Motivate an entire Shakespeare tragedy like Othello. They're just so intensely jealous.
Right. They would, put that on the bigosity.
Very big bigosity.
Yes. Bigosity, yes.
Iago's bigosity of envy, enormous.
Yeah, exactly. There's a website that I found called the atlasofemotions.org. It's a great tool for understanding emotions and your own emotions and what we know about them. It was actually weirdly commissioned by the Dalai Lama, but uses Ekman's research and other people's as well. And they map the different emotions. If you want to go there, you can go
I'm already typing
go
it in.
to the disgust section because we haven't really talked much about disgust yet, and I think it's pretty interesting.
Fear, disgust. Ooh, feeling disgusted.
So they take it and they map it to those little increasing mountains, and they have dislike, aversion, distaste, repugnance, and then there's just a gap in the map with giant big spikes at revulsion, abhorrence, and loathing, which is so interesting to me that there would be a gap in that specific emotion. But then I was like, what is between repugnance and revulsion? Like sometimes I'm like, ew, that's gross. I don't want to be anywhere near it. But there's not like, I'm trying to think personally of things I felt where I'm like, oh, well, I think that's yucky. And then it's like, okay, well, what's between yucky and like, ugh? I don't know. Because emotions are complicated.
A quiche that tells you that you should be drinking raw milk.
A quiche made of raw milk and gorgonzola.
I mean, but you'd put it in the oven, right? So you'd probably kill whatever bacteria in there. What's wrong with gorgonzola?
I don't like gorgonzola.
This is Lisa's homework. She must go and find the emotion between repugnance and revulsion.
It's interesting, too, because on this website, they map that to the actions that people take when they feel these parts of their emotion.
Oh.
So if you hover over one of those little mountains, it shows you, kind of pops out at you, the organic chemistry version of the slide. It comes out at you and it says like, okay, if you hover over one like avoidance, you get dehumanization of others. You could get vomit, which is like a physical reaction for something in disgust. You can get withdraw, where you either run away, physically withdrawing, or mentally withdraw into oneself. Like when you eat something and you're just like, oh my God, this is so disgusting. You might like, I need to shut down. I'm going to just like, I'm done now. And fear can cause that avoidance as well. And they are listed under the fear emotion, which is kind of neat. But fear also adds worry and screaming and, yelling and freezing and hesitating, but they also have withdraw as like an option. So this, again, isn't the definitive list of emotions. It's just to continue to illustrate that there's overlap between different emotions. There's different ways to mix them together. And we know quite a bit about emotions. And if you go through this and you come out thinking the same thing I did, how many emotions are there? Scientists don't know, but there is a book published in 2015 by Tiffany Watts-Smith, and it's a set of essays. It's not like a scientific book, but it's called The Book of Human Emotions, and it has 156 discrete emotions, including parts of many of the ones that Ekman and these others have sketched out, but also include things like dread or calm as an emotion, and then, things like ecstasy and guilt. So all of this is to say that emotions were not designed. I think it would be easy to say, like, okay, we're going to build a robot and we're going to give them emotion. So we'll give them happiness and joy. We'll give them anger. We'll give them fear. We'll give them disgust to protect themselves. We'll give them, sadness to be able to like reflect on things and feel bad if they do something wrong and blah, blah, blah. Because we're designing them that way. And that's how we tend to think of them. But emotions were not designed. They evolved for specific reasons. There was evolutionary pressure for them to exist in some way because we are social beings. That adds a complexity layer to that of evolution. There's also, in the case of fear, if you hover over the fear bit in the Atlas of Emotions, there's an action for ruminate, which is, I think, one of the more incredible ways to think about emotion, because those emotions are always there. And so people might replay and relive a fearful thing in their head. They'll ruminate on it and they'll see it again and again and again. And that is not necessarily something that you think you might evolutionarily want to put into something if you were designing it. But it exists because there was some benefit to having that rumination at some point, or not a benefit to getting rid of it, or, in the right way. So psychologists seem to agree that there are big levers that emotions pull, and they exist for reasons. It's easy to see why we would have fear or disgust to protect ourselves, and ecstasy and joy to encourage social groups and mating and advantageous behaviors. But is there an evolutionary reason for calm or remorse or excitement? Not clear, right?
I could make a case for some of them. Remorse, for sure. Well, I mean, the same way we talk about, your dog puts on this face when it did something it shouldn't have and it escapes punishment.
Yeah.
I mean, we as human, as social creatures, we're a lot more lenient when another member of our group does something wrong and then demonstrates remorse.
Yeah.
For it.
Excellent.
So,
I agree.
Yeah, I could see a case for that. Absolutely.
For sure. I think that some of these come back to that social emotional connection where remorse also might be a signal that you need help, right? But you don't know how to say it. So you're you see someone feeling so sad or so remorseful or so guilty. And maybe that's a call for help, emotionally. Or excitement could be the opposite. I'm excited. You should come here. Look at this amazing thing that I found. It's food. It's, whatever. I'm excited about this mate. I'm signaling to the other people in my social group, the other apes, whatever it is, all of these things. And I bring up that one specifically because there is an emotion that we did not mention at all yet in this discussion of a half an hour, and that is love.
Aww.
Is love an emotion?
I mean, it's no natures, but yeah, sure.
No Schadenfreude. Scientists actually aren't sure if love is an emotion. Per se.
I don't know that I think about it. I feel like love can make you feel emotions.
I mean, yeah.
Right? It can make you feel joy and excitement. Yeah. It can make you feel a lot of emotions, right? People can be in love and they can experience intense jealousy and or anger or sadness I don't know if I would call love an emotion, but a state that can engender emotions.
You are so smart.
Oh, thanks, bud.
It's the best. It's just the best. So I'm going to read you a quote that I put in my notes from the Atlas of Emotions. Love is a strong attachment to another person, typically parent toward child, child toward parent, but also between those who are romantically committed. Within loving relationships, anger, fear, sadness, disgust, and enjoyment can all be experienced. So similar to what you said. And then also that maybe love is more of a mood, which is to say an ongoing, longer lasting state that includes many different feelings and emotions. So you could feel happiness or sadness, and it might not even have to do with a specific trigger within that mood. It just spontaneously appears, bubbles up from within you somewhere. For example, you're irritable. That's a mood. And when you're irritable, it's easier to get angry or disgusted or frustrated, which doesn't even necessarily have to have a trigger. You could just have it happen to you.
Yeah, that's just where I am right now.
Right. And it's the same with love. You could have love as your overall mood and then bubble up within it something like, an ecstasy or just a general calm sympathy, happiness. You could just feel all sorts of different things within that, which I think is really cool, but it also adds to the complexity of what Liza is talking about. There's a huge tapestry of overlapping things, and people spend years with therapists specifically trained to help to understand their emotions. I went to an emotionally focused therapist when my partner and I were having trouble, and it was a revelation to talk about emotions in this way of okay, I'm feeling during this fight that we had, I was feeling squeezy in my chest and my stomach, and that I think means this, and then we talk about what it actually meant, and it was very, very cool and eye-opening to try and understand and put my emotions into parts of myself in a way that I had never done before explicitly. And it was awesome.
I made this joke, but I do, it's getting at something that I'm always worried about, which is how men are expected to only either be happy or angry, basically.
Yes.
You know? And I think this is, personal point of view. I don't have a whole scientific study to back this up or anything, but we are taught these, and we're so bad, especially as men, at accepting and understanding and processing other emotions. And you have to kind of unmess yourself up.
Yeah.
And I went through a very similar arc, when I was dating Katie, there were plenty of times when I was I'm in a bad mood, and I just act on it, not understanding why and lashing out. And then it took me some time to be what am I feeling here?
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing? Is this healthy? How does this make Katie feel? And kind of work all through that, and then figure out what do I need to do to kind of accept and understand these emotions and work with them,
Yeah, yes. And I think once you start to grasp them, it does feel a little scary to try and name. Anger is such an easy emotion to understand. It's very base level and simple. And most people understand when they are feeling angry or feeling generally happy or joyful, really. Those physical actions of I literally described to our therapist, I felt squeezy in my chest, and when I felt upset, and that physical action, or I felt my stomach was in knots and stuff. These, we have these words for them, but you really do have to be able to pick them apart. And what we learned to use the tools to do in this emotionally focused therapy was to recognize those emotions and be able to derail them before they took over everything, or understand what we were feeling so we could express it. And shout out to Nico from San Francisco, because she's a real one. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. And so now, years later, I can sit at an amazing friend dinner. Right. And have you ever sat at an amazing friend dinner, you're uber connected to the people around you, you're having a nice time, people are chatting, and I'll just sit back and wordlessly just look around, and it feels like my heart is going to explode. And there's just that book, The Invisible String, you just feel like you're connected to everybody and so happy, and I'm just so light. That emotion I have felt so many times in my life. I can look back at it and see it in moments, but I never felt it in the moment until I started to learn to pick my emotions apart. And now I love that feeling. It is just the absolute best feeling. And you know what? That's great. Emotions are complicated and cool.
I've gotten a lot more comfortable, looking at this atlas that you linked. I'm man, I was really avoidant of sadness and fear for a long time, Yeah. And I'm much more comfortable with them now. And it's nice when we're talking about, I wasn't joking, the flavors of human experience. I do think they're all important to being a human and working through them all. And they're all, they're normal. I've cried on this podcast. I'm tearing up now.
I know, I can see it. And I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I get emotional because things move me.
We both joked about it earlier, where it's what are we here for if not to experience all of these things?
Right.
Right? There are so many things to experience. And why would we deny ourselves as many as we possibly can get. You know, you go to the grocery store, you grab the same 2 foods every day, anger and joy, and you walk out. But the grocery store is full of stuff.
Right.
And if you mix them together in different ways, you get different things.
Try the sadness section for a little bit. It's an acquired taste.
It's actually kind of awesome sometimes to feel a little sad. I listen to emo music. It's cool.
You're going to go through sad experiences in your life. You should be equipped to deal with them.
That's right. It is true. So, Liza, so we can all just go and have a good cry. Can you feel an emotion no one has ever felt before? Yeah, sure. Probably you can. Some mix of emotions that either we know about or we don't yet understand. But how would we even describe that? How would we begin to relate to it? You have to understand all of these different flavors of emotion and then be able to try and put a word or description to that. And I think you abso-friggin-lutely can do that. It's definitely possible, but it's like describing a color that no one's ever seen, right? Or a sound no one else has ever heard.
Yeah.
You know, like when Jodie Foster drops through the thing in Contact and she goes to the alien and it's like, you know, she says they should have sent a poet.
Yeah, right.
You know, there's a reason that artists are often synesthetes and tetrachromats and like really good at their thing, whatever it is, words or emotions, because they're trying to describe something so specific that there might not be a way to describe easily. Yep. And we've spent centuries, millennia, like trying to do that. And we have come up with joy, anger, sadness, disgust, and fear, and also flavors of those.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the eternal struggle too. You know, you think you might have something new, and then there's been research done into it already, and the Germans already have a word for it.
Yes, Schadenfreude.
Right,
exactly.
Man, I really like feeling this person when this person I dislike fails. That's got to be a new. Oh, the Germans got there. The Germans.
Yeah, the Germans got it. Have you ever? Do you remember one of my favorite earlier internet things? The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows?
No. What is this?
It's a YouTube channel. It's a book, I believe. It's a project by John Koenig, and he coins new words for emotions that lack a name. The one I think about a lot is his word sonder.
Oh, yeah, you've told me about this word.
Yeah, and sonder is the realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own, which I have felt as a person. You know, you're in a car or on a bus or on a train and you see somebody at the train station and they're having like a moment with a friend or talking to their kid or like a dog or a cat or, you know, whatever. They're like having an emotional moment with something and you're like, that person's entire life is just as complex as mine. And that's wild to think about.
That's a big thought to have. The bigness of that thought.
It's a bigness thought for sure. Bigosity is big. He also came up with one that's a mix of Memento Mori and the Torii Gates, which he calls Mori. And it's the urge to capture something with a camera almost to prove it's real, that you were there, or as they say in the video on their channel, with every click of the shutter, you're trying to press pause on your life.
Wow. They did send a poet.
Right? I love it's a YouTube channel. The newest video is like 6 months ago, which I was surprised that they're still making videos, which is Urath, I think. Urath, which is a hunger for mystery in a time of easy answers.
Oh,
it's a good one. It's
that's
a good
thought,
one.
Right? As like the world around us changes, you know, there's jokes about like how many old sitcom plots don't make any sense in the age of cell phones in everybody's pocket, right? Like all the misunderstandings that could be avoided. Like the world around us might change. Maybe that will create some new emotions like the one you just said.
Yeah. Urath. I don't know. I have to go watch the video. I think of one called, the Brazilians in the audience will love, saudade, which is a Brazilian word, a Portuguese word, meaning like a melancholy, a longing, and a missing, but it's like a happy one. So you say like when you haven't seen a friend for a long time, you just be like, muito saudade, which is like, I feel this like saudade a lot, which is, it doesn't have an English translation. It just is that, which is pretty cool. So like your long lost best friend and you feel it. You know, you know that feeling when you see somebody you haven't seen in a long time and you're just like so happy and a little sad that you know you're going to leave again and like, and it's just a great word. But that's an emotion that we've all felt, but we don't have a word for it. So to your point, just because we don't have a word in English for it doesn't mean that it hasn't been felt or named or whatever. I didn't even get into animals really because it was just like there's too much with people.
I was going to say, Pepper definitely feels saudade. Every time I come home, she shrieks like a banshee. My neighbors must think I'm abusing my little dog.
She's like, feels saudade and then wants some pão de queijo, which is like cheese bread.
Bigosity feelings in her little chihuahua body. Yeah, and then cheese bread, of course. That's immediately, she's like a 1-2. Like, oh, I'm so glad you're home. Feed me.
Feed me, please. So in The Guardian, Anita Sethi writes that on that 2015 Book of Human Emotions that I mentioned with 156 discrete emotions, each one has its own essay. It's a really interesting book. And this person, Anita, she read the book and reviewed it in like a 2 or 3 paragraph review in The Guardian and wrote in there something that I thought would be fun to wrap up with, which is, quote, "What we need, argues the author, isn't fewer words for our feelings, but more. After reading this book, a word to describe the pleasure of reading would be a welcome addition." Yeah, cool.
A book critic would have that as the top thought.
Yeah, true.
How come nobody's describing how good it feels to read books? All right, book nerd.
So, Liza, there's not a great answer for that other than emotions complicated. But sure, yeah, maybe you felt something that you haven't.
Yeah.
If you felt something that you don't think we felt before, can you maybe tell us?
Yes. You're listening. If you want to pitch a new emotion,
email us at hello@that'sabsurdshow.com.
I feel like we're
Tell
going to
us
get
your new emotion.
More new emotions than questions. If any two match in both name and description, we will submit it to officially be. Clearly, there's something there.
Clearly, yes. Woo! Wow, I need to like I said, have like a good cry.
Yeah,
Just feel some
cathartic.
things.
Feels nice.
It does feel nice.
Love a good cry. Thank you for listening to this episode of That's Absurd. Please elaborate. This show was created, written, and produced by Trace Dominguez.
And Julian Huguet.
And man who feels all emotions simultaneously, produced and edited this, Kyle Sisk.
Does Kyle Sisk ugly cry? I feel like he does, but it's also beautiful.
Kyle's a real one. Like, real talk. I know Kyle is a sensitive, good soul.
Agreed.
For sure.
Agreed.
I know it. And Sabrina Capello, associate produced. I don't know how
this
she
was
feels.
associate produced by Sabrina Capello. As a Gen Zer, I'm not sure how many emotions she has, but I think there's some good ones.
Is skibbity toilet an emotion?
Thanks to the listeners who submitted the questions featured in this episode, Liza and David. If you want to submit a question, email us at hello@that'sabsurdshow.com. Visit our website, that'sabsurdshow.com, and go to the Ask a Question tab. Then you could go also to call us on the phone, 302-TAPE-SHOW, TAPESHO. We couldn't do the show without your questions. They clearly are titillating and notches and Fiero and all those other things, too.
You really make me feel like a Pontiac.
We're driving excitement. That was their slogan.
Probably some absolute word nerd in the naming department was like, Fiero. And they were like, oh, it sounds like fire, like a sexy Italian fire car. Let's do it. And they were like so upset that nobody knew that this was a whole feeling.
That's great.
Anyway, thank you to our patrons over on Patreon. Lisa's question was actually selected in a Patreon poll. So if you're on the Patreon, you're participating in the show. And we'd like to thank our absurd administrators at our top tier, as we do every episode: Adam, Les, Austin, Jonathan, Dan, Sabrina, Balky, Hannah, Apothecarian, Christina, Atomic Straw, Brian, Shane, Metric, Ton of Batcat, Poochoo, and Connor. I'd also like to shout out the tape Patreon bingo card winners this week: Adam, who's always cleaning up, I swear, Jesse R., and another regular bingo card winner, Bins. And Shane has a whole note in his bingo card about how he has two, and he's one away, and I could just say the thing right now that would win it for him.
That would be a little too polymarket.
That would be too easy,
A little
Shane.
too prediction market.
That.
That's a little too cheaty for me.
So there you go. If you want to support us over on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/that'sabsurdshow. You get to vote on questions. You get shouted out on the show. You get the bingo card mention. And, we say hi and stuff. And also, you're supporting us to do fun things. I know we've mentioned this multiple times, but it's coming up. We are going to be at Open Sauce, just hanging around, just hobnobbing.
Nobbing
Knobbing some hobs over there.
Sounds
hobbing some knobs.
a little dirty.
I'm feeling disgust at myself.
I would like avoidance on that.
Avoidance. I choose the flavor.
I choose
So it's a card
avoidance.
to play.
I choose you.
Avoidance. And it just runs away.
Leave us a review wherever you're listening right now. The reviews tell other people that this podcast is worth your time. We joked earlier that we are number 106 out of the top 200 in the science podcast in Singapore. We're starting to rank in other countries all over the world in their science podcast verticals. And in part, that's because you have helped us share the show and grow it. Please help us continue to do it. Let's crack into the tops. Let's beat the Sasquatch podcasts of the world. We can do it.
We're number 98 in Italy, despite my Julia Child impression.
Honestly,
really
maybe
something.
it's not in spite. Maybe it's
because
maybe it's the other way. If you want to see clips from the show, we have an Instagram at That's Absurd Show, a TikTok at That's Absurd Show, and a YouTube at That's Absurd Show, where you can also listen to the episodes if you want to. And finally, a special thanks to those who are listening on Nebula, because they get ad-free versions of the episodes and can support us and any other creator that they listen to or watch on Nebula. By listening, they directly support everyone there. Full disclosure, I do invest money into Nebula, but we get a little bit of money back when you join. So go get a discount and support the show. Go to go.nebula.tv/That's Absurd Show. If you just go to nebula.tv/That's Absurd Show, it works too. You don't need the go. It's just a little nicer landing page. Like we say at the end of every episode, Julian, what do we say?
Go ahead. You can cry. Go ahead. It's okay. Come here. Come here.
Oh.
Come here, buddy. You can cry. It's okay.
Oh.
It's okay.
It's like the end of Good Will Hunting.
It's not your fault.
Man, that made me cry so much as a teenager.
Oh, me too. Oh.
It's good.
Oh, so
It was
good.
really good. See, I just went and thought, okay, what is Julian's about? His is about vitamin D3, Mighty Ducks 3. So I'm going to look up a Gordon Bombay quote. So remember in Mighty Ducks 3, Hans had died.
Oh no, the skate sharpening mentor.
The skate sharpening mentor, who was played by two different actors, I think, as well.
Did one of the actors actually die?
I think so, yeah. And they're just like, let's not get another old white guy.
I do remember as a child being like, that's not the same guy, was it?
Yeah,
Is it?
No, I don't think it is. So I changed it to be about vitamin D. Every time you touch the ice, calcium, remember that it was Hans, sunlight, who taught us to fly. Make cholecalciferol.
Thank you.
Gordon Bombay, Mighty Ducks 3. Get it? D3. This is a mnemonic. Every time you touch the calcium, remember it was sunlight who taught us to make cholecalciferol. It's a mnemonic. D3, Mighty Ducks.
Now you'll never forget.
This and umder. You'll never forget it.
Paraphrase of Gordon Bombay's wise words.
Man, that Sheen family, they're everywhere. Well, with that, let's get out of here.
Estevez. Very confusing if you don't realize some of them changed their name and some of them didn't.
Yeah. Emilio and Charlie. And Martin.
Emilio, son of Martin.
It's very House of the Dragon.
Yeah. First of his name? Question mark. I mean, kind of his dad had a name, but he changed it. Huh?
He did. Well, this has been a great show. If you're still here, thanks.
Why?
We emotion you bigly.
Yes. You make us feel emotions that are high on the bigosity axis. I mean, it's already intensity is like bigosity, so
you can contemplate that until the next episode.
Ever wonder who's out there making the world go round? It's truckers. Who unites baristas with coffee beans? Truckers. Who unites dogs with their favorite chew toy? Truckers. That's why Progressive offers truckers even more protection with Cargo Plus coverage to keep truckers moving right along. Quote truck insurance today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms, limits, and conditions. Not yet available in California, New York, and Virginia.